Imagine transforming from an introvert to a brilliant conversationalist with just one question. Sounds impossible? Well, let's find out. In this video, I will give you one simple question that can transform your conversations from bland to captivating, making people see you as the brilliant conversationalist that you want to be. There's actually more than one, but I'll get to that in a moment. Back when I was shy and introverted, I could have never imagined cold approaching a stranger in broad daylight. But that's exactly how I met my wife, and it all started with learning NLP. Neuro-linguistic programming. After diving into the treasure trove of NLP language patterns and questions, I found the key to unlock my conversational potential, which I'm going to share with you. As you practice what I teach, you'll start to understand that it's actually not just about the conversations. It's about transforming yourself from a shy introvert to someone who can confidently approach anyone and start a great conversation. All it takes to get started is learning this one question and one moment of bravery, and you can completely rewrite your story. But you won't want to stop there. Once you get started, you'll want to keep going, keep learning, and keep practicing. What's even better than getting a transformational question from my NLP toolkit? In this video, you'll learn how to naturally incorporate it into any conversation and witness its magic in creating deep and meaningful conversations. But here's the catch. You need to understand the why before using it. No, you can't just pop this question to a stranger and expect miracles. But don't worry, it's simple to grasp, and I'm here to guide you. As we dive deeper into this technique, I want you to have the ability to revisit it and reflect on it at your own pace. I know it can be overwhelming to remember everything we discuss here, so let me help you with that. I've taken the liberty to curate all of this invaluable information, including this transformational question and 5 additional powerful conversation enhancers into a user-friendly PDF. Consider it your personal cheat sheet to becoming a brilliant conversationalist. You don't need to scramble for a pen or pause the video to take notes. I've got you covered. Just click the link in the description box below this video, and you can have this handy guide right at your fingertips. It's my gift to you to support you on this exciting journey towards mastering conversations. And stick around to the end because I'll be revealing an advanced technique that takes this to a whole new level. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. Now let's dive in. What do people remember most? It's unfortunate that most people give most of their attention to negative feelings and experiences than they give to the positive and uplifting experiences. More than 40 million adults suffer from anxiety as a result, and the majority of it is based on worrying about things that will never happen. But as you become a great conversationalist, you will be able to shift people toward the good stuff by asking great questions. They will associate their positive feelings with you, which means they'll want to continue talking to you. And this is really great for introverts who don't always know what to say, because all you have to do is ask the right questions and let them do all the talking. The funny thing is that even though you're not talking much, they will still think of you as a great conversationalist, because a too often overlooked part of great conversation is great listening. When people feel like you're really hearing them, they will feel a connection with you and they will trust you. What makes this question so powerful is that people tend to remember 2 things more than anything else: the first time and the best time. Here's what I mean. Get the person you want to have a great conversation with talking about something they really enjoy. The more they enjoy it, the better this will work. It could be their profession or a hobby as examples, or it could even be as simple as their favorite food. Once you have them talking about it, ask them, when was the first time you did, and name whatever it is that they really enjoy. If it's something they're passionate about, they will love telling you their origin story about it, and they will love that you're interested in hearing it. If it just so happens that they don't have a great story to tell you about the first time, ask, when was the best time you ever had or did, and again, name whatever it is that they enjoy. You can be sure they will love telling you about it, and there's often a good story behind it. Even if they have a great origin story to tell you about their first experience, still ask them about their best experience. You want them marinating in positive feelings by having them compare their first experience with their best experience, if they're not the same experiences. Still unsure how this works in real life? Let's dive into a live demonstration with my wife, Yulia, where I'll put this technique to the test. This is my wife, Yulia, and this is unscripted. You don't know what question I'm going to ask you, do you?
No.
Okay. But I did ask you to think of something you enjoy doing, and then from there, I'm going to ask you questions. And you've already thought of it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is something that you really enjoy doing?
I really love traveling.
One of the things that I've noticed about people when they really enjoy something is that oftentimes they remember the first time that they did it. Can you tell me about the first time you ever traveled?
So I think the first time was when I was pretty little, and it was not really such a big deal because we just drove. I'm from Romania, so we just drove from my hometown to another small town in the area, but it was like a longer drive, so it was a little bit more significant. And the destination itself is not something very memorable. I think we were visiting some family members, but I just have in my mind that particular backseat of the car with my brother and I.
When I talk to people about things that they enjoy, I notice that they also have usually in mind a best experience about something that they enjoy. And a lot of times their very first experience was what they would consider their best experience. It's the first time that they really experienced a lot of joy, and they sort of didn't have a label or a category for that experience first. And so suddenly they're experiencing something that they really enjoy. But I've also talked to people that that's not the case. They had their earliest memory or their first experience, and then they also have a best experience. So which is it for you? Was your first experience your best experience of traveling, or do you have another experience of traveling that you would consider your best?
I have another one, or maybe other ones, simply because the very first one was not such a big deal. But it was a big deal for me as a kid, the first time getting out of the usual environment. Now my mind goes to trips I did with the school. As I told you before, that our French teacher would organize these trips in Europe, and we would go for like 2 weeks, or sometimes even just a short weekend, like a little getaway. It was a school trip with all of the colleagues, with your best friends, and overall those trips were very, very special.
Okay, so if they were very, very special, do you enjoy talking about them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, good. So I got that confirmation. I had a feeling that she was enjoying the conversation. And if I kept asking you for more and more details, you would probably be very happy to explain, and
yes.
Especially if I'm very willing to listen to you talk about these experiences. I would imagine the more you talk about them, the more like you would sort of step into that joy that you would experience when you would go on these trips. And you also didn't mention any of the trips that we went on.
Because I went to the past. I went to a further past.
Can you see how this could transform your conversations? Let me know in the comments below. Caution, some people can be very literal, meaning when you ask them about the first time they ever did what it is that they like doing, they may tell you that they don't remember the first time. An easy follow-up question to this is, what was it like the first time you remember doing or having whatever it is that they enjoy? Everyone has an earliest memory, even if they can't remember the very first time they did whatever it is that they enjoy. Now that you've got the basics, are you ready to level up? Let's dive into the advanced tactic. But be warned, this is where things get really interesting. When taking this to the advanced level, be careful, because you want to make sure that you help them maintain their positive state. If you don't follow my exact instructions, this can go wrong. So listen carefully and make sure you download the PDF I mentioned, which you'll find below this video, so that you can read over it and make sure you've got it. Once they tell you about the first or best experience, or both, remember to ask them if their first experience was their best. If they say no, make sure you get them to tell you about their best experience. Once they do that, ask them, what was the main difference between the best experience you had and the worst? Make sure you ask this question in relation to the best experience. If you simply ask them about their worst experience without any connection to their best, this can shift them into a negative state. Instead, keep them grounded in positivity by connecting it to their best experience. What they will start to tell you might sound like a story of redemption, as in the hero's journey. Despite their worst experience, they not only have a best experience, but many more positive experiences on top of that. This will actually serve to strengthen the already positive feelings they have about their best and first experiences. Want to see me demonstrate this as well? Let's go. So on the other spectrum, the other end of the spectrum, if people have a best experience, they also have a worst experience, even if it maybe not have been the worst thing that ever happened to you, or like the worst, it might not have been terrible. When you think about your best experience and you can compare it to your worst experience, what was the worst experience of traveling that you ever had?
It's kind of weird to reference it like that, simply because I feel like every trip has something special, has something of discovery in it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like even if it's not what I expected, or it was not the most extraordinary trip comparing to others, I would still find positive things about it. But because we've talked about this before, like when people ask you, okay, which country, which destination would you rather go back to and which one you wouldn't? So now I'm thinking based on which destination I would choose not to go back to. And my mind goes to our trip in Cyprus in January. Yeah, it was earlier this year. It was just nothing that extraordinary about the trip. I wouldn't necessarily say it was bad or it was the worst. I mean, the worst in the idea of the least pleasant trip, but I wouldn't call it like the worst as if, oh my god, that was horrible. it was not like that. Simply, it's just that it was rather plain, nothing very special about it.
What really, when you compare the two, what really makes the difference between that best experience and that worst experience? What really makes things different?
The amount of new culture, new discovery, new places, something very different than my environment. I feel like by the time we got to Cyprus, we've already been to Greece, we've already been to Turkey. The vibe itself was not something very new. It was rather familiar, I would say. That's kind of what was missing.
The newness of it.
Yeah, it was not so spectacular. The views, the city, the area we were walking around, nothing was that wow factor.
So for you to have really good travel experiences, she's giving us some clues here that, so in order for you to have a really good travel experience, the idea is that you get to see something new or get to take part in something that you haven't done before or seen before, but you say that's correct?
Yes, correct. And now that you mention that, obviously my mind starts to go to more fancy trips that we've taken. So for example, Egypt, that was amazing. Santorini, I love that.
Okay, so what's happening here is now I just kind of took the the filter off, and now she just wants to talk about these things, and you can see how she's lighting up and her gestures, that this is very pleasant for her. And so if I'm an introvert wanting to get you to talk so that I don't have to do all the talking, all I have to do is just kind of give you a little nudge. Well, tell me about that. Well, tell me about Egypt, and what was that like? Did you see the Nile? Like, so she's already lighting up. So it's very easy for me now just to keep her talking about very pleasant things. And also, and I know this about her already, but if you were talking to someone like her, one of the things that you can get very quickly is that she's very positive and she's very optimistic. If you were talking to someone and she said something like that, or he said something like that, you can know right away that this person is very optimistic, and they're typically very pleasant people to be around. They're just very positive most of the time. Whether you're an introvert or a social butterfly, these conversation techniques can dramatically enrich your interactions, deepen your connections, and skyrocket your persuasiveness. So make sure you test them out and let me know your results in the comments below. They can be your secret weapon in professional contexts, personal development, and even in your dating life. But we're just scratching the surface here. If you're excited about the changes you can bring to your conversations with this one question, imagine what you can do with an entire arsenal of conversation hacks. So are you ready to transform into a master conversationalist, to take your conversation skills from good to life-changing? In my next video, I reveal a powerful yet simple conversation hack that can revolutionize your interactions. It's a game changer, trust me. No need to wait any longer. Click through to discover the one conversation hack that could change your life forever. See you there.